welcome back to the official review, episode 6 today. Me and Gunnar are both back now after 2 solo episodes, so we're ready to get right back into the saddle here. We're going to be going over mostly NFL-related news from the past week or two, going over the Super Bowl, some quarterback carousel stuff, J.J. Watt and other free agents, and we have one more segment at the end. So let's get right into it. So some of the, base headline for Super Bowl, the Chiefs got stomped out. Patrick Mahomes, no touchdowns, running for his life in the pocket there. Rough game for the Chiefs and Chiefs fans in general, for sure, right there.
It was a tough game for Mahomes.
Yeah, it was just a total beatdown. The Bucs front four really, like, they were rushing four and they were getting to Mahomes almost every play.
Yeah, that Buccaneers team, it's literally stacked top to bottom. They don't really have a weak position anywhere. Like, you think about it, you just go down the line of positions. I can't really find a weakness there. And they just have a devastating pass rush with the likes of Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul and Vita Vea in the middle. So all they had to do was rush four. And I think that the Chiefs had a couple injuries on the offensive line, which didn't help. I think their left tackle was out.
I think both their tackles were out.
Oh, yeah, Anthony Schwartz, I think he didn't play either. So both their tackles were out, and then I think they had a guard out too. I think a guard opted out.
They had guys playing like all types of different positions on the line. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a tough game. I think it was the worst game that the Chiefs played all year, and it sucked for them that they played it in the most important game of the season. You wish they could have had a stinker during the regular season when they're already guaranteed the playoffs, like week 16, week 15. But they had it in the worst possible time there. Tyreek Hill, he did all he could, but I don't know. He just got locked up, I think, because they had a great group of corners in Tampa that they could just lock those guys up, and they did a real good job of it.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes, it's like the first game he's ever lost by more than one possession in his whole NFL career, and it's like the worst he's ever lost in pretty much his whole football career since like high school, he said. Andy Reid even admitted he didn't have his guys really ready for that game. And I think a lot also has to be said about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the way they really flipped the switch in the second half of the season, going on like a 8-game win streak. Even those Whitehead and Winfield, those safeties totally just grew over that last half of the season and stepped it up. I think the Bucs came together at the perfect time. I feel like after that blowout against the Lions, that's when you really started to see things clicking. And then after that, story pretty much tells itself. They just went on a run, and then all the way to the Super Bowl. Brady wins his 7th, pretty much solidifying himself as the GOAT for now, and kind of closing the door on Mahomes. He's pretty much beaten him in every big game they've played. And 7 Super Bowls is tough to do. And I think Mahomes is pretty much the only guy in the league that we know of that has even a chance of coming close to him, just based off the way he started out his career with a MVP and a Super Bowl in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah, well, I think that team's going to start falling apart there in Kansas City. It's going to start kind of crumbling away. I think they'll keep the core healthy and Tyreek Hill, obviously, and they got their Schwartz locked up too, and a couple guys like Chris Jones on the defensive side of the ball. It's going to start. All the supporting cast players are going to start to fade away as they run out of cap space there after giving out all those big contracts. But I think for the next couple of years, they're going to still have a very good team. And Mahomes can get, if maybe he can get 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 or 7 years. I think that would be a great start to his GOAT career. And then maybe they have to go through a little bit of a rebuild or a rocky patch. But if he's anything like Brady, then he could show that he can lift his teammates around him, even if they're not the best. and still make the playoffs and do well. And he's got nowhere to go but up from here. It's a kind of a wake up call game. But I think they're going to rebound well, and I think they'll be right back there next year. To be honest with you, and yeah, I think Brady's obviously coming back from the Bucs side of the ball. They're going to be good again next year. They might lose a couple players, but I think they're going to be another good team, and they're probably going to be the favorites to make the Super Bowl again next year. So we might even be able to see a rematch.
Yeah, 100%. I think that Chiefs team's window might start to close a little bit, and then a little further down the line, maybe they can put together some good teams. But yeah, their window to really win like couple is like now when they still have everybody under contract. But I mean, I'm not worried about Mahomes. I'm sure Mahomes will be able to elevate his team. Brady has been able to, and yeah. More about the game. I mean, there's that Tyrann Mathieu Brady interaction where, they were like talking trash, and there was all this stuff coming out like basically around halftime where like Brady's like telling him he's gonna like throw right at him, and then Tyrann Mathieu like tweeting out after the game that he won't like repeat what Brady said, and then like after he found out Brady was like mic'd up like deleting the tweet or whatever. So that was.
It's not a good look for Brady certainly, but you don't know truly how much truth that Tyrann Mathieu was telling. He could have deleted the tweet because he said something false. He said something he shouldn't have had that was gonna mess up Brady's.
It was kind of like the situation with like Rudolph and Myles Garrett, where he said like, something was like said, but there's no proof. And like this situation, there was like Brady didn't say anything, so.
And then there was also the interaction between Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyreek Hill, who had some history, I guess, going back to the regular season where Hill actually he threw up. It's his classic celebration when he's the yards in front of the defenders. He just throws out the peace sign as he's entering the end zone. And then when Winfield was able to lock him up on a play, he threw the peace sign back, and he actually got fined for it for taunting. But I thought that was a sick. I was like really happy for Winfield that he was able to do that. And that was just awesome, I thought. And I was upset that the NFL chose to punish him for it.
Yeah, close game. Maybe I'd be like, all right, that's a little stupid. But I mean, the game was over. It was 4th down. Made his point. Yeah, definitely worth it. I think that's worth like any fine or anything. I imagine I felt pretty awesome for Winfield there. It was hilarious just to watch too. I was rooting for the Bucs, so I thought that was pretty funny. And then looking after the big game, Tampa Bay's parade, the boat parade, and then the story that came out just like a few days ago about that lady getting like pissed at like Brady and like wanting an apology for Brady throwing the Lombardi and like saying it's like disrespectful. Like, I mean, I guess she must have like not seen the video or like just might not be on social media because she didn't see the video of Gronk hitting the trophy with like a baseball 2 years ago. Pretty funny, but I think that's like just stupid. I don't think like not disrespecting it. I don't think it's like that big of a deal. And I think he just must not like be on the internet because I don't think anyone who like uses the internet would ever like say that and just expect people to agree with it. Everyone went at it, roasted.
Yeah, everyone was going at. Yeah, I watched an Instagram video of it, and everyone was going at her in the comments, saying that she's a Karen, obviously, and that she shouldn't be so upset. And I think she was like Vince Lombardi's like daughter or something, granddaughter. So she was like
she's like the granddaughter of like the guy who like made the first trophy or something.
Oh yeah. So she was upset about that, like
losing multiple days of sleep.
Yeah, she was getting mad for no reason. I don't think that's going to be a good look for going forward. I think she probably should have kept quiet about it. And like the stuff where she had like sleepless nights about it, I mean, come on, like this. Like, just stop it. Like, stop it with that.
True.
Just take a handful of melatonin gummies and just go to bed.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
yeah, it's not that deep.
Yeah, and then looking into like this off season, uh, tons of like headlines have been surrounding Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers after his loss, saying like a bunch of like positions and other people's jobs are like not certain and stuff. And then Russell Wilson just a couple of days ago voicing his I don't know, like his Russell
He's
Wilson.
kind of frustration, or like
Yeah, his like frustration with the Seahawks franchise. So I think we can just run down this list and just say whether we think they're heading out or if they're gonna stay. So Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I think he's staying in Green Bay. I know they do have Jordan Love and they just drafted him, but I feel like they'd be just really dumb to let Aaron Rodgers walk out the door, especially like you can say he's like what? He's like 37, 38.
He's like 36. Yeah, 37. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like you look at Brady and like Breeze, like guys are playing into their 40s, and after that, I think Aaron Rodgers just had an MVP season. He's got a lot of years left, so I think letting a guy like that walk or trading him away, I don't think Jordan Love is. I mean, he's clearly not ready. I don't even know if he was like rest for most of those games. So, yeah, he's like not even second on the depth chart.
Yeah, well, I think they drafted him last year. I think what they do, I mean, obviously they want the future. They want a quarterback for the future. And they saw that, obviously Aaron Rodgers is a great guy to learn from. And they had Jordan Love on the board. They actually traded up for him to get him at like, I think, the 23rd pick in the draft last year. And they wanted him to be like kind of coached up by Rodgers, and he could just learn from Rodgers, because I don't think he was an NFL ready prospect coming out the gate, but he had the potential to be a great quarterback down the road. And they saw that they had that opportunity, and they also saw that Rodgers, he had a good year last year, but he wasn't he seemed like he was kind of falling off. And I think they kind of wanted to give him a kick in the ass, like by having a young guy coming in and putting pressure on him to play better. And I think that really worked, and it got Rodgers going, and he had a really great year this year. And I think if they were to trade him, they'd easily get like 4 first-round picks or even more than that for him. But I think that there's like the value in the top 2 quarterback is even worth more than that, especially with their win now roster right now. Like if they were the Texans right now, then they would probably be able to trade him because they're not going to win. But I think if they get some Rodgers some wide receiver help outside of Devontae Adams, I think that team's a Super Bowl team next year. And they'd be really stupid to go to Jordan Love, who would probably get to the playoffs with him, but I don't think they would have that upside as they do with Rodgers.
Yeah, but I think that's also the thing where they probably are like, we made it to the NFC Championship. Rodgers had an MVP year, but we drafted a backup quarterback and we didn't give him a receiver. If they really are in like win now mode, they aren't really drafting towards that. And I think even if you look at that decision not to go for it on like 4th and whatever, I think it's more Rodgers' frustration than the Packers' frustration with him. But I mean, I don't see him leaving. Moving on to Deshaun Watson. So many trade talks going on with him, having him going to like Broncos, Niners, Jets, Dolphins, Pats, wherever. But I honestly don't see him getting moved. I mean, they're asking base for like the base value for 3 first-rounders. And even the Texans like front office guys are saying like, no, he's staying here. And I mean, it isn't even in his like power to move himself. So I don't see him moving. I don't see why the Texans would ever, I mean, like drop a guy like Watson, even if you were like getting him, even if you were getting like the 1st round pick to get Trevor Lawrence. I'd rather have Watson, who's already like a solidified star. Um, I obviously would want like my Pats to like try and draft him, but I think
For
they
sure.
might need those picks. I think they get rid of those picks, they have nothing
Yeah.
around him. I pretty much like you like trade everything for him, but then he's just in the same situation he just was in, but probably worse receivers.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on the opposite stance of this. I kind of like it doesn't make any sense to me with Watson because he really signed a long-term deal like halfway through the season. I think like they were even like 2-6 at the time they signed it. I don't know why he would sign it like, and now he's just like he needs out immediately. Like he
Yeah,
just signed a
exactly.
long-term contract to stay there. It doesn't make any sense. But I think at the end of the day, I think they just brought a new coach. They fired Bill O'Brien. I think they might be looking to blow it all up there. That would start with getting like 3 or 4 first-round picks for their guy, even though he's young and stuff. I think it might be in their best interest just to get those picks and maybe be able to hit home on one of them. Maybe get I don't know, like the Jets pick and get Zach Wilson second overall, and he might even be a better player than Deshaun Watson ended up being. So I think I would take that risk, and then they get 3 or 4 more first-round picks or pieces to go along with that. So I think they could rebuild, just freshen up the whole roster. I mean, they just got rid of J.J. Watt too, and they can just start cutting all their older players, training all their older players. They got a couple guys there like Brandon Cooks and stuff that could find their way out, and they can get more assets from them. And then they can just blow it all up and just have a fresh restart, and they'll have a blank slate kind of. So I think they might do it because I think, especially with the Jets or maybe not the Dolphins, because I think probably the Jets they'd get the Zach Wilson, they get the highest upside and the youngest player. But
Yeah.
even if they went for like the Broncos, they can get Drew Lock maybe in that trade.
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
most of Watson's like frustration I've heard was because the Texans said like, oh, he'd be involved in the hiring of like their next coach and he'd be part of like that process. And then they said that and then he
yeah,
wasn't involved and he was like mad about like the Texans like front office being like racist and not like he wanted like a black head coach and then he was like really mad that they didn't even interview the Chiefs offensive coordinator down there, and just a bunch of frustration. And
yeah. And I
now he
mean,
wants
yeah,
to leave. But yeah, and I think if they are gonna try and like trade him away, I think probably the best deal would either be with the Jets maybe or the Dolphins because I feel like you could get Tua, who's a decent young prospect and a pretty high pick there. And I think it also works well for the Dolphins side where they already have a pretty good offense built around them with like Devontae Parker and other guys like that, and decent O line and running backs, and a pretty solid defense to go along with it. I think they have the best. Like they can give up their picks and some assets and still be competitive with them.
yeah, I think so.
Uh, Next up, Russell Wilson. I think he's kind of run into the same thing as like Deshaun Watson, where he wants more say in like the roster and the front office, and I think he's just become he's like definitely solidified himself as a top quarterback in the league, and he kind of wants just the same benefits that those guys get, where they get say in the roster and coaching staff and stuff like that. Um, I don't see Russell Wilson leaving the Seahawks. I don't see the Seahawks letting him just trade him away like that. It is interesting, but I just don't see it. But also the Seahawks' failure to really put a good defense together, trading away Jamal Adams and kind of not being a big factor there, just being a glorified middle linebacker pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think Russell Wilson ended up just staying put. I think they're going to kind of give in to what he wants because they know that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that they need him to stay there. And he's still pretty young, and he's early 30s. So he's still got some gas up in the tank, certainly. But I think they just kind of I think it might be end of Pete Carroll. Carroll's time if they fail again next year because he is just a stubborn, like he's kind of oldie, so he just kind of does like the old tried and true stuff that isn't really modern anymore, like running the ball constantly. But I think that Russell Wilson would have appreciated it. Maybe like they didn't have to fire Pete Carroll, but I think he would have appreciated it if maybe they could fire the offensive coordinator and bring in a guy who can kind of bring out his full potential instead of Pete Carroll and whoever they got going there now, his offensive coordinator.
They definitely need line help because Russell Wilson, if you got a guy like that, you can't let him just get sacked that many times in a season.
Yeah, I think it's a potential. I mean, they got a good left tackle, but other than that, I think it's just like a bunch of they got a bunch of just like average players. I mean, it's just nothing special. I think they just got maybe they can use their they don't have their first round pick. They got traded away for Jamal Adams, so there goes that. I mean, they could have easily got a better right tackle through the draft because he's a great tackle class this year, but they don't have they use that in Jamal Adams.
Yeah. And that has not really panned out as a good trade for them.
Yeah, I think they'll turn around next year, but not as of so far.
But we got two quarterbacks here that are kind of on like the less interesting side of things. Jimmy G and Sam Darnold. Jimmy G, I definitely see going somewhere else after this season, whether it be New England or wherever. I see him kind of making his way out.
Yeah, he's just like a totally average quarterback. He's like the top 20,
nothing wrong with that.
20th best quarterback. You can win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's not like you have Mitch Trubisky in there where you just kind of just getting you're not really getting the best out of players. He can run an offense well with Kyle Shanahan's system. They proved that. They got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with him. He's an all right quarterback. I mean, I don't know. He's going to have some value to a team who just wants something like just average and is tired of having bad quarterbacks. Like maybe the Broncos or, the Patriots, they've used to been having good quarterback play, but Newton wasn't good for them last year. Or maybe the Bears, like with Trubisky and stuff. But I think I see him like maybe if the 49ers want to upgrade a quarterback, maybe they can trade to him for the quarterback that they're getting. Or something like that, but he runs an offense well, and he could be valuable to a team that's just looking to get out of the gutter.
Yeah, I think I could definitely see him on a team like the Pats or some team like that. It's just like needs something there. Sam Darnold, I think it's kind of interesting because there are still a lot of stories about like, oh, Sam Darnold might stay and they might try and like build around him because I feel like Sam Darnold's kind of gotten a bad rap where he's literally just been playing for the Jets and getting beaten up and thrown to like nobody's all his career. And he does have a lot of like potential, but I just don't see the Jets not drafting a quarterback here with their pick. I think Sam Darnold's either going to be traded before the draft or after the draft, but I think they're definitely going to just trade him away for whatever value he still has left.
Yeah, if they draft a quarterback, they're obviously not going to keep Darnold on the bench there. I think he's got too much potential, so they could probably get maybe a late first or a second for him from a team like, say, maybe the Texans. Maybe he's involved with a Deshaun Watson trade. He's part of the return. Maybe he goes to the Panthers, or maybe he goes to like the Bears, like something like that, or 49ers even, where he can kind of maybe reach his potential in a better offensive situation there. Kind of forget what he's been learning with the Jets under Adam Gase and with that bad play calling. But yeah, I could totally see him going somewhere. If they do choose to go with Darnold, they have a new coach in there now. So they got Saleh, who's not the greatest offense. He's a defensive coach, but they might see the potential in him with the new offensive coordinator there. That they think it's worth keeping him. I mean, if they choose to keep him, then they're definitely going to trade a second round pick, the second overall pick, because that pick is way too valuable because it's Zach Wilson. That's going to be where Zach Wilson gets picked. So they could probably trade that and maybe get 2 firsts in this this draft so they can maybe get some right tackle to go alongside Kai Becton, or they could and then they could get another one for a more like a receiver or something later in that first round, or in the year after that. So, but I'd say he gets traded and they just end up taking Zach Wilson. I think that's what I would do, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's time for them to just get a new quarterback, give him a couple years to try and prove himself and just start building around him. But yeah, that brings us to our last quarterback, your guy, Carson Wentz. I think he's going probably somewhere. Well, but I've also heard like some stuff about him maybe still competing for a job now that there's a new coach. But I mean, I think he wants to get out of Philly, right? He wants out.
Yeah, I think he wants out. I think he's willing. He's willing to work with it, but I think what he kind of expressed that he wouldn't be mad if he stayed, and he wouldn't be mad if he went. But he definitely wants to be the starter wherever he goes. He wants his chance to prove that he's a starter. But you know, the Eagles just brought in Nick Sirianni, who is the offensive coordinator for the Colts. He's a prodigy. He's like the apprentice to Frank Reich, who had a lot of success in Philly in the Super Bowl run, and kind of that was Carson Wentz's best year. So they might, the Eagles, I think with that move, I thought that what they were doing was they were trying to get Carson Wentz back going. And they got the 6th overall pick this year. They probably will end up with their receiver, Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase there, I guess. So I don't know. If I were them, I think I liked what I saw from Hurts there, but I think with the new coach, Sirianni, especially if they aren't getting a first-round pick or more in return for Carson Wentz in a potential trade, I would say to have him stay put and see what he does with Sirianni. But then again, if he does that with Sirianni, his trade value is going to go down. It's going to go be worse. And right now, if they were to trade him, they'd be paying him to play for another team, which would obviously not be the best. But if they get a first-round pick, I said I would jump right on it because I like what I saw out of Hurts and stuff, and they'll get some more. They'll get a weapon for him, and with the 6th overall pick, whether it be Kyle Pitts or, like I said, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, that'd be a good weapon for him. And then they could try it again next year.
Yep. Yeah. And like some spots that Carson's been rumored to are like places like the Colts, who are looking for a quarterback now, or maybe even the Pats. But yeah, we'll definitely we'll see about that. I'm sure the Eagles will make their decision sometime soon.
Yeah, probably before the draft.
Yeah. And then that brings us to J.J. Watt, who just got cut by Houston and is looking for a new home somewhere. List of like potential landing spots: Steelers, Packers, Bucks, Titans, Bills, Pats. I think it's really between either like the Steelers or the Bucks for me. Maybe the Packers. Steelers obviously his two brothers, Derek and TJ. That would be a cool way to end his career, playing with both of his brothers. The other place, the Packers, he's grown up a Packers fan, I think, and went to Wisconsin, long-time Wisconsin fan, Packers fan, just grew up there. Maybe wants to play for the Packers, who are also a pretty good team. And then lastly, the Bucks, if he just wants to try and ring chase. I can see the Bucks kind of becoming like the Pats of old, where basically every time you see a star free agent or like a big name free agent, like the Pats were top of the list, and now that Brady's in Tampa, I feel like the Bucks are that place.
Yeah, well, anywhere he goes really here, except maybe the Titans or the Bills, he's going to be getting a really, like he might be close to a minimum contract with them because they really just don't have the space. So if he's willing to take that discount to get a ring, which is ultimately what he wants, what he left for, he wants to get a ring. So if he's willing, he seems like that kind of guy. He donated like money for Houston. He donated tons of money because of the flooding there. So yeah, he's a really generous guy. I think that he might be the totally the type of guy that would take less to go there. The Steelers, his brothers are there, but for the Steelers themselves, and maybe for even J.J. Watt, might be their strongest position, is that pass rush spot. He's going to be playing with Cam Hayward and among others that are on that defensive line that are really really good there. It was like one of the best pass rushes in the league last year, and I think he might not want to be that far down the depth chart. I'm sure they'll find ways to get him on the field, but I think he might not want to be down that depth chart. He might have to want to have a bigger role with whatever team he joins. So maybe if a team like the Packers, who outside of Kenny Clark, they don't really have much going on there for pass rush. I guess Darius Smith, they have him too. But on that other side of the line, they've had guys like Dean Lowry there that just haven't worked out. He's a good, I think at this point in his career, he's past that point where he's a number one pass rusher. He's more of a second pass rusher for a team. He'd be a solid number two. So I think the Packers would probably be the best spot. And like you said, he's a Wisconsin guy. And he's probably going to take the hometown discount. And with the Bucks, he could go there, but he's not going to have that role there because they have Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett and stuff. They might not be able to get back one of those guys, but he's not going to have as much of a role. Too. Yeah, Vita Vea, yep. And then the Titans and the Bills. Titans they're a good scheme fit there. You can go next to Jadeveon Clowney if they bring him back.
But it didn't really pan out too well this year.
Yeah, and the Bills, he's going to be the number. He would be the number one pass rusher there, I think. Definitely. And then the Pats, he would be the number one pass rusher. But with the Pats, you're not going to be competing for a ring. And with the Bills and Titans, they're less like a guarantee. Like no team's a guarantee. It's really just a coin flip. But if he wants the best chance, he's going to want to go to the Steelers, Packers, or Bucks for sure.
Yeah, I think at this point of his career, he's pretty much achieved like everything he could possibly want to achieve except for winning the Super Bowl. So I think he'll probably just try and ring chase here. And I think you also another thing to look at is J.J. Watt now adds on to the list of star-studded list of athletes who've left Houston within the past year, joining Harden, Westbrook, Hopkins. I mean, if I'm a Houston fan, I mean, that just sucks. All those guys leaving, wanting, like, literally just asking, like, I don't want to be here. Even Deshaun Watson now saying, like, I literally just don't want to be here.
Yep.
I mean, that's got to be tough for Houston fans. I mean, I've kind of experienced that as like a Boston fan now, where guys like Brady and Mookie Betts and like Kyrie Irving, like a lot of big stars leaving. So I kind of feel for them there, but yeah, that sucks. It's
unfortunate that those are their only two teams there in Houston, right? So.
Well, they got the Astros.
Oh, they got the Astros, yeah, but they just lost George Springer too. They just lost a couple players, but yeah, so it's just kind of unfortunate for the Houston fans that two of their teams are just kind of crumbling at the same time, and I think it's just kind of unfortunate. I don't think it has anything to do with the city itself, but it has to do with the team's situation, maybe the coaching a little bit too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean that's just unfortunate for any Houston fan, for all those guys to just want out like that.
Yeah.
Moving into a little bit of a non-sports related segment, past week, a lot of stories have come out about people just messing around with Gorilla Glue. I think there was, the girl who like ran out of hairspray and put Gorilla Glue into her hair, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a Gorilla Glue spray that she thought would keep her if she had to like run to work or something, and she needed it, and she thought that the hairspray would just like, she knew it was Gorilla Glue going in, but she thought that she'd be able to get it all out. It wouldn't have dried by the time she got home from wherever she was going, and it ended up just she wasn't able to get it out, and it was just stuck in stuck in her hair for weeks at a time, and then until she finally got like she went to a doctor about it, and no one could figure out how to do it. They tried so many things, and then she found a plastic surgeon who went to the lab and tested a way to get it out, and then he ended up finding a way to combine different things to get it all out, like acetone and some other ingredients to make a solution that would get it out, and it ended up working after months of it. So yeah, but then the girl ended up saying that yeah, she probably should have worn a hat and not worried about her hair to the point where she sprayed Gorilla Glue in her hair. So that was very unfortunate for her, but
Yeah.
it ended up working out.
Tough moment for humans everywhere. I think some guy even used it as like chapstick and like glued his lips together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just tough moment for society. Just learned what Gorilla Glue is. So that pretty much wraps up most of what we have to talk about today. You got anything else?
No, I just thank you guys for watching. Obviously, we'll be creating some more content out, and you guys stay tuned for that. And make sure to leave a like on the video, and we'll see you later.